Hey everybody, I'm Kelcie and this is Cassidy and Katie. And thanks so much for coming to our YouTube channel where we talk about the course Right Your Way to Freedom. A lot of people have a lot of questions and we have three different unique answers from three people who have actually taken the course. So we hope that you find this information helpful. Feel free to browse all of our questions in the notes below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them and we'll try and get to them in one of our next recordings. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. Today we're talking about if the Right Way to Freedom course covers Upwork. It's a love-hate relationship with a lot of freelancers and probably a lot of employers too, as far as finding really great clients and finding really great freelancers to work with. And so we just wanted to demystify a little bit about what's included in the course and also talk about my and Cassie's experience working on Upwork, because Katie's magical and has never needed it. So Cass, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I did use Upwork for maybe the first year and a half to 2 years of my freelancing journey. It wasn't my only client acquisition strategy. I was also cold emailing companies. I was getting referrals and submissions through my website. But Upwork was a way for me to kind of build my initial pile of maybe my first 15 to 20 articles that I was doing. And at the time, there was not a module in Write Your Way to Freedom on Upwork, but there is now because so many people have had a good experience with it. And as Kelcie mentioned, there's definitely this love-hate relationship with Upwork. A lot of people crap on it. A lot of people say that it is solely a race to the bottom and it's not worth your time ever. And I would say that that's a little extreme and not true because to an extent, it's just a job board. And yes, there are people who only want to pay 2 cents a word for stuff, but there are also clients out there who really need freelance help and they don't know how to find a freelancer and they've heard of Upwork before. So they think in their mind their only solution is to post an ad on Upwork and see, who they get. And those were the types of clients that I was targeting back when I was using Upwork. So I'm sure everyone who has had success with Upwork will have a different story. But in my experience, there were primarily two things that I did when I was applying for jobs on Upwork. The first thing that I would do is that I would look for clients who were paying at least $100 an article or were paying at least $40 an hour. Let me preface this by saying I do not condone hourly work now. I actually did hourly work for a few different clients early on in my freelancing career, and it's kind of how I trapped myself back in this 9 to 5. So I would not recommend it, but also at the same time, it served its purpose in my life and it allowed me to bring in income in a time where I desperately needed it and wanted it. So it did serve its purpose. So that's not to say that you shouldn't ever work hourly, but just know that it's not the best thing for your long-term happiness and freedom. But yeah, so the first thing I did, I looked for clients who charged at least $40 an hour or $100 an article. And two, I would only apply for jobs that had less than 10 applicants when I applied because I don't know if you can still see the number of applicants on Upwork, but usually it would show you. Yeah. So if 15, 20 plus people had already applied, I wouldn't even waste my time. I would try to be one of the first few people that applied. So I would get my name in the top of the pile. And I don't know that that's a perfect strategy, but that's what worked for me. And in the beginning, when I was just trying to make money and see if this thing could work, $100 an article, $120 an article, that felt okay to me. I think I knew that I was undercharging, but I was okay with it at the time, so that's what I did. I also will say that Upwork does take 20 or 25%, which I did not know. I think had I known that, I would have been $100 is too low. But yeah, they take quite a big cut, and then you have to do taxes and stuff on top of that. So in that sense, it's not as efficient. But that was my experience. To circle it back around, it served its purpose. I'm very grateful for it. I used it to build up my skill level and my initial client base. And then after a year and a half or so, and I mainly used it that long because some of the clients that I found on there, I kept for a year and a half or two because I had built these really strong relationships with them. But in all, maybe I had 4 or 5 clients total on Upwork, period, over those years. But yeah, that's my story. What you got, Kels?
Great story. Fun fact, they just moved to 10% across the board. Upwork just takes 10%. They used to take less the bigger your project. So smaller projects were 20%. And then a medium amount was 10%. And then larger projects, they would only take 5%. And so it worked out really well that like the folks who were doing really well on Upwork were getting even less taken out from these like larger amounts that they were making. But now they're just a straight 10% across the board, which is good news for new writers who are looking to start on Upwork and get some jobs, because you are going to be getting 10% less taken out compared to when Cass and I started. So go you. Okay. So Upwork was not something that I was interested in exploring. Like when I started Write Your Way to Freedom, Sarah was like, Upwork, don't do it. Stay away. Forget about it. Stop looking at it. Like, absolutely not. And then like Cassidy said, a bunch of people had a lot of success. And then they released an Upwork module. And the other fun part, Sarah doesn't teach you how to do Upwork. Someone else who's had success on Upwork teaches you how to do Upwork, which is something that I love about Sarah's course. Upwork didn't work for her. It wasn't for her, but it worked for someone else. And so that option exists for you to explore it, to be like, hey, does this make sense for me? Do I just want clients that I know that like already know that they need me? Do I not want to cold email someone? Also, if you're really great at Upwork and you leverage it right, you don't need a website. You don't need a portfolio. Like you can just land gigs there and it's no big deal. So all of that is to say that after that, I took the Upwork course and I was like, and I just kind of started playing around, and I like projects that are called white papers, which are basically long form copy for B2Bs. And they are normally like pretty technical documents, but still have some storytelling and sales aspects to them as well. So they're kind of complicated things to write. And let me tell you, it's a little tricky to just like land a white paper client. People like don't really post that they need white papers. And like oftentimes, like if you're big enough to need a white paper, you already have writers on your team. And so it's just kind of this like tricky situation of finding someone that like really fits into like, they need this one thing, right? Everyone who does need them is on Upwork. Is basically what I've learned since really exploring it and looking into it. And part of that came from another friend of mine who's a copywriter who's not in our program, but she was like, I've had a ton of success on Upwork just landing these like $1,000 case studies that I write for SaaS companies. I bust them out in a day and they're just like quick and easy. It's super seamless to go back and forth to be like, okay, like, send me the interviews, or I'll interview someone real quick in this day. I finish it up by the end of the day, send it off to them for minimal edits. And she's kind of just built this reputation for herself of being really great at these case studies. Other people can see her say like, look at how great she is at all of these case studies. And then when she applies for other case studies, they're like, great, this is what she does. I can hire her. So think of Upwork like a sink. Like you're going to work some like lower end jobs. You are going to make like less money for a little bit. But once you get into that space where you've like got this reputation of like, hey, I'm a person that does case studies for $1,000. It'll be done into you by like the end of the week or by the end of the day. Then you're essentially able to, anytime someone posts about that, you can snag that job up easy. Like it becomes so easy to get those jobs. Sometimes they don't pay as competitively, but also you're not having to do any of the cold outreach, any of the back and forth, any of like, you're not signing like documents, and it's not like taking you a while to get your invoices paid. Everything's just a lot more streamlined. Is it good for everything? No. If you know you really want to write this like one specific kind of copy and you want to be able to again, just turn the sync on and off. I need to make $2,000 extra this month. I'm going to hop on Upwork and see what I can apply to, because I know these people already need copy and I don't have to go through the song and dance of trying to get someone to buy copy for me. It has its perks. And I think that's why Sarah eventually was like, changed her mind and was like, you know what? It didn't work for me, but it has worked for some other people. And so it's important for me that I show my students like, hey, this is how you can make money on Upwork. Thanks so much for tuning into our video today. I'm Kelcie and this is Katie and Cassidy. And together we talk about what it's like to be in the program Write Your Way to Freedom to help you determine if it's the right fit for you or not. If anything from the videos today resonated with you or made you decide like, yes, this is it, I want to sign up, it would mean the world to us if you used our referral code. For full transparency, we do get a little bit of a monetary kickback every time somebody signs up that we split between the three of us. And we also make a $100 donation to World Central Kitchen, which you can find out more information on via the link in our notes. So thanks so much for tuning in and check out the rest of our questions. We've probably answered the one that you have. Bye.